Hello Rock Sliders, Doug Rosen for Rock Slide here. We just did the pack bag video and now we're going to do the new and improved suspension video. One thing I didn't mention in the pack bag video, cost wise, my understanding is they're just going to be very minimal, like $10 difference between the newer bags and the older bags, and everything is still compatible across the board. All the new pack bags will work with the older suspensions and frames, and the new suspension will work with the older frames and all the old pack bags. All the attachment points are still 100% compatible. So the new suspension, I have a few more notes here because there was a lot to take in with some of the changes that were made. So I don't want to miss any of those things because ultimately they'll lead to questions, and I try and answer them as best I can here and not inundate the thread with simple questions that I could have gone over and let everybody know the answer to. So the suspension, which is basically the shoulder harness, the waist belt, and the lumbar pad, have all changed to some degree. The frames themselves have not. How they attach have not, for the most part. The waist belt attaches a little bit differently, but not much at all. So we'll get right into the suspension and what's changed upon it. It has a little bit different look to it, especially in the lumbar region. But for the most part, the shoulder straps we'll talk about first, just so that we can kind of go in some type of order so you can see what I'm talking about. So aside from the older material, let me grab one here. So these are the older straps, and this material was prone to, when Velcro hit it, it was snagging and pulling material and basically just weakening the structure of the cover of that padding material. So this new material does not have any effect with Velcro. So when you Velcro it, the Velcro pops right off. It is a little bit more breathable because of the open structure nature of the cover to it. I don't know what the technical name of this material is, but it has a different feel to it, and obviously it's much more coarse, so the Velcro has no issues sticking to it and damaging it. So that will no longer be an issue we need to deal with. It's kind of like an air mesh, high density breathability type thing, but when you see them in person, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the shoulder straps, if you haven't already just been able to look at them, there's now a channel between them. Obviously that promotes a lot more breathability when you're wearing these packs, so you'll get some airflow between your lumbar pad up through your center of your back, and that will just make it a little bit more comfortable. With that, you can see the contour change here as well. This contour change was probably the biggest feature change for me in the harness. This promotes a little bit more back contact. So before, when I put the harness on, there were times where I felt the harness itself was not even touching my back, just the way I was built or shaped. This new contour runs in areas of your back that are going to promote contact, so that it will distribute a little bit more of the load and be a little bit more comfortable for you when you're packing. This also, when you have a different contour like that, will promote a little less side-to-side lateral movement if your pack is heavy, because it's in contact with your back, as opposed to those gaps that were there before. If you were side hilling, you would get a little lateral movement with your pack. Some of that's going to be eliminated because of the contact that you have now. With this channel, one thing that the channel being here affords a little bit more customization for people that either have wide or narrow shoulders. I feel like I'm kind of the cookie cutter dude. I'm 6 foot and 185 pounds. I'm not too big in any one area. So I've been lucky with packs. They've always kind of fit me kind of standard. But say you had some beefy shoulders or big traps or something, and you wanted the angle of your shoulder harness to come out at a different angle, you can change the exit angle of these straps, meaning where they come across your shoulders. And you can do that simply by just pulling these in closer together. And you get them closer together, and it changes the angle that these shoulder straps now run out and then connect to your waist belt. So that's a little feature, and it's not a ton of movement, but it might be just enough movement to make it more comfortable. No different than if you had narrow shoulders, or you had a youth or a young kid use them, or a smaller lady. You can change the exit angle and make them narrower at the top. So those two things give you a little bit more customization. But then again, if you're just a routine, normal built dude like myself, you'll probably put them right in the middle and keep that exit trajectory of those shoulder straps just about the same. The sternum strap didn't change, but what I can tell you now is several years ago, depending on what pack bag you bought, depended on what shoulder or chest strap configuration you had. You either had a right to left or a left to right. The first version Ultra bags, I believe, were left to right. The Icon Pro Series were right to left, and people didn't like that. Shockingly enough, that one feature, people liked it going one way or the other. All the bags now across the board, the Pro Series and the Ultra Series, or the both suspensions, are all right to left buckling. There is a fix if you want to change this to left to right. There is a way to modify this. I can go over that individually with people if you want, but it does mean you're gonna cut this buckle, and some people don't want to cut on their packs. And for me, I don't mind modifying my packs to fit for the best way I like them. So with that, that's the harness. But the harness itself, the covering material that is on the shoulder harness is also on the waist and the lumbar pad. So let's go to the waist belt. See how I can get this pictured for you pretty well. So the waist belt changed shape roughly. You can see here that it starts out pretty narrow next to the lumbar pad, and it widens out, and then it comes back to more of a rounded feature. That is going to promote a lot more cupped contour across your the arc of your hips. So you'll have more contact with the waist belt over more portions of your body. It'll match many more body sizes versus the old pack kind of fit me fine, but I don't have big hips or anything, so it never really bothered me. But this feature here, this shape, is going to accommodate a lot more body sizes and a lot more comfort behind those. They've also removed, and I'm going to try and show you on video here so that you can see it. The old hip belt had a complete plastic sheet in there to keep the contour and the shape, a little below the video here. So this had a plastic sheeting in it. Now I'll try and fold it up so you can see it. But that's where the sheeting ends. So the sheeting is the plastic sheet inside here just runs like this, and it opens up and then comes down to the bottom. So it's more of a contoured sheeting in here, so that you get a little bit more cupping or hip contact in the area you need it when you're packing. That being said, there's this added feature right here, this strap right here. If you see me pull on it, and that's why I was going to tell you that it doesn't take much to change it. That changes your contour down here so you can promote or add or increase a little bit of contact with that pad. A little goes a long way, so don't wrench on this and distort this so much that it's cupped under or you're getting gaps. You just pull it almost like a delta strap, just snug to where it fits your waist the best you can. The hip belt pockets that are going to be on the newer version of packs. They are a little larger because this portion of the waist belt became larger. So if you run hip belt pockets, that will be a good feature for you. With that, the hip belt pockets are left and right specific. The downfall is they're not marked, but they're left and right specific so that you can open them one-handed. If you're not sure which one goes where, the zipper when closed will be on closer to your back. The zipper when open will be closer to your front. So the hip belt pockets got a little bit bigger to accommodate the waist belt being a little bit bigger in the area they sit. The compatibility with running holsters or bear spray and stuff all stayed the same. It's just a small Velcro piece there, run your holster in it, and then Velcro it back up, and you can now have a sidearm, bear spray, if you want to run a camera case there, whatever it may be. The Delta straps still connect in the same spot. Remember, when you use your Delta straps, there is no need to crank on these. These should be just snug. And I'm a set once and forget type guy. When I set mine to where I like them, I run this strap doubles back through there, then I cut it off and I leave it. I don't ever change it because tightening this up can get this kind of configuration. You can get your hip belt bent in there, and that bend in there will then promote a gap along your waist, and you won't get that contact. And what you want, the most contact you can have around your waist, the better the load's going to be carried and distributed. So same with this lower adjustment strap for the lower contour. When you do your Delta strap, it's really only there to stabilize your pack bag. It doesn't do much else, but it keeps your bag from flopping around if it wasn't connected there. Let's see, making sure I'm covering all my waist belt things. Yeah, I think that takes care of everything on the waist belt. So let's talk about this lumbar pad, which I think is the biggest change people are going to notice. Will be in the lumbar pad. As you can see, and I'll grab another pack here. I might have one or two of these things. So the old lumbar pad was, well, you can see the size of it. It's not that big in comparison to my hand. This one might look a little thick because I've actually ran 3 pads back here because I don't have much of a butt back there. So I ran 3 pads in mine to get it the way I liked it. So this new pad is substantially larger, taller and wider in comparison to the old pad. It is still a dual density foam. It has a little softer foam against your body, a little bit more dense foam against the pack. One thing about it that is unique is this lumbar pad is now adjustable. You can move it up or down in relationship to the waist belt. What they told me was up to 3 centimeters, which to me means about 1 inch of adjustment. So when you adjust it, it's Velcroed along the back with straps. I don't get to need a tutorial on how to take the waist belt off, but you can see this attachment down here, that webbing material. You can stick it down like that and you'll see it sits a little lower. You can move it up as tall as it will go, and it sits a little higher, and either way you're just going to reach back and strap those back across to the pad itself. So that adjustment is going to be pretty unique for people. If you're not sure where you want it, start with it basically at the default location, which is at the same level as the bottom of the waist belt. And then you're just going to Velcro that back around, and the lumbar pad will be back in place. So that's a pretty cool feature that you can move it up or down, especially to fit many, many more body styles or types than the old version offered. This also has a shim available. So this is the denser, it's actually kind of a medium foam. It's between the dense foam and the soft foam. But if you're gonna use the shim, when you orientate that shim, there's a slit in the Velcro back here, that's where it's gonna go. Make sure you put it in to orientate it to where it matches in shape. So that way it fits the best against the pack. If you try and stick it in there in this configuration, it won't fit as well, and it's already a tight fit in there the way it is. So make sure you get the contour correctly. The pad itself, as you can see, is a little wider on one side and it's shaved on the edges. The shaved side should be up and the contour shape should match when you stick it in the waist belt. Attaching it to the frame, if you take the shoulder straps off, the frame just slides in there like it has in the past. The people that have had packs in the past that were squeaky, that has kind of been eliminated. If I can get this off here and show you what I'm talking about. They're a little tight. But I'm not even going to do it because I don't want to take too much time on these videos. There is a little edge. Let's see if I can see that on video. Right there's an edge that goes around the frame in the bottom where it mates up to the waist belt. That is a plastic sheathing for the most part that will prevent the squeaking. 99% of the time that I've seen people's pack squeaks, when I look at them, when I take them apart, it's because this bottom little horseshoe that the frame sits in is full of debris, dust, pine needles, leaves, and that's creating friction, which then leads to noise. So if you keep that cleaned out, you shouldn't have any problems with squeaking. Put that all back, and then we're back to square one. This, one thing I didn't mention, I don't know if we'll be able to see it on video. I'll try and get the light. Yeah, I think that shows up right there in the light. But you see these stripes on there. So that's a silicone rubberized material that's gonna kind of promote some non-slippage if you get any. It kind of is the same concept that was put on this one to prevent slippage. They've just ran it across the entire length of the lumbar pad to promote nothing slipping upward or downward on you. With that, I think that's everything on the suspension. This suspension, without the hip belt pockets, the suspension alone, and the frame, the harness, the waist belt, the lumbar pad, on this one weighed 2 pounds, 13.6 ounces. That was without the hip pocket belts. The hip pocket belts weigh 1.8 ounces. So this pack, this bag with 2 waist belt pockets weigh just under, or just over 6 pounds. 6 pounds, 2 ounces, roughly. I'd have to add it up. That's my rough count in my head. Anyway, that is the new suspension. So the Apex shoulder straps, which are on this frame, these were the upgraded. They came with the standard shoulder straps. They're the same exact contour. The Apex ones had a little bit more padding compared to the other version. If you can see the difference side by side of those. I always ran the Apex if I knew I was going to be packing out heavy weight, which generally speaking, it was my fingers were crossed. That's the way it always was. They don't have an Apex version for these yet, but they're coming. My understanding is once the Apex version comes out, they may, and it's not set in stone, they may run the option as when you order your pack, you might have a drop-down menu online and you'll be able to pick standard shoulder straps or the Apex shoulder straps. And obviously there's an upcharge for the Apex. I don't remember what They actually cost, I want to say like $35 for the Apex shoulder straps, but I could be wrong. I just don't remember offhand. So there will be an upcharge. The difference is it probably won't be $35 because they're going to get to keep these. I have 2 sets of these never used off older packs that I don't know what I'll do with. So if anybody out there in Rockslide land has an older suspension, an Icon Pro or the ultralight suspension, and they need brand new, never used shoulder straps, the regular ones, get in touch with me and I've got 2 sets and I'll ship them off to you and you can have them for all you want. I think that's about it on these. If you have any questions, again, leave it in the forum on the thread, and I'll answer them the best I can. And again, good luck everybody hunting this year and be safe out there.